of ridicule, right? At the risk of ridicule. And this is quite personal to me, and it's probably quite personal to a lot of people who harbor ambitions that sit outside of the norm, or sit outside of their culture, or sit outside of their community standards. And hardwired within us is a quest to conform to a certain extent, to be considered individuals that are responsible, and just to basically fit in. And whilst we may not necessarily admit it, this risk of ridicule, this risk of being shamed, is something that kind of acts as a noose, and restricts us in seeking to take our ambitions further, particularly if you're harboring creative things within. I mean, most recently you see people in the media and creative industries doing a lot more. It's become more prominent, but once upon a time, saying you wanted to act and say you wanted to draw or paint or be an artist or create content or be a gamer was laughable. And that idea of ridicule is something that we kind of have to sort of get around and deal with, and be honest with ourselves that it affects us. And, there's a couple of things you can do, and we make some recommendations, and it's part of what I do with some of my clients. I guess the first thing you can do, obviously, is to be honest with yourself and realize that the risk of ridicule and maybe even shame is what's actually most impacting you, as opposed to, say, financial loss or whatever it might be. Identify who and where that ridicule is coming from, and see if those people have or should have the amount of power your emotions and your mind is ascribing to them. And the next thing is really to try and find a community, however small, right? To find a tribe of individuals who think, who have aspirations in the same way. If you're an aspiring writer, and these are the people that kind of share your ideas, and walk with them digitally or face to face. However, build that trust and build that comfort as you all work towards the aspirations you want. And the last thing I'd suggest really is something that a lot of philosophers did back in the day, which is to actively seek out ridicule. And one of the simplest ways to do that, something I did back in the day, is to basically dress up when everyone dressed down, and dress down when everyone dressed up. The idea is basically standing out and getting comfortable with standing out and the judgment, critique, or otherwise that might come with it. Because ultimately, the risk of ridicule is a really, really big price to pay for unfulfilled potential and unrealized dreams. Let's get out there, let's do it.